do this. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome into the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching the show on X __ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. And, of course, 1430 AM as well if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. So many ways to listen. There's really no excuse not to. And we're coming off what was a fantastic night in sports last night. What a blast. I had so much fun watching the play-in games. I hope you at least stayed up for the first one because it was awesome. Overtime, LaMelo Ball, game winner after committing a brutal turnover, back and forth. Chris found a 30-day free trial thing so we could watch the games.
I was super excited. I was like, what? I don't have to pay for anything. Let's go.
Aren't you glad that you watched? Aren't you glad you watched?
I did. It was so good. Such a good game, man.
It was, like you said, such a good game. Blazers and Suns, that game was on later. So if you went to bed, you get a pass for not watching that one. But that game was awesome as well. Not as awesome as this show is going to be, though. We're obviously going to talk about those play-in games. We're going to talk NFL draft. We're going to have Kevin Potts on again. He's coming on at 2:30. I've got a Chris Ballard theory that I'm going to share with you. But ultimately, I want to start with the play-in games from last night, which rolls perfectly into Over the Hump Day.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's Hump Day.
Woo-hoo! Hump Day!
No, as a coach, I gotta get us over that hump. I gotta get them comfortable, knowing that you're gonna be in close games and you gotta make plays coming down the home stretch. I mean, in the tournament, we were right there. I just didn't get them over the hump, man. And that's something that I live with every day of my life.
Over the Hump
Because
Day.
I truly believe that was the team to really make some noise and get to the finals, and I just couldn't get them over the hump.
Now I can say it. Over the Hump Day. Shout out Mike Woodson, former head coach of Indiana basketball. Coach DeVries is hopefully gonna turn it around here. Nice little start to the portal for him, by the way. But anyway, today's Over the Hump Day, though. We're talking about really two things. Last night, after those amazing play-in games, I had this realization. The NBA season, from start till, the end of June, it's a lot like going to a wedding. It's all about getting over the hump. And I say this because I have to go to a wedding on Saturday. I don't enjoy weddings. I'm going to walk you through my wedding experience because I feel like every time I go to a wedding, it's the same thing. I'm not exactly looking forward to it. I complain a lot internally, like how a lot of people complain about the NBA's regular season. You heard Frank Isola on the show yesterday say that this year was the worst NBA regular season he has ever covered. And so for me, whenever I go to weddings, I mean, you show up early, you just kind of stand around and wait for the ceremony to start. And then it starts, and all these people walk down the aisle. Boring. Finally, the bride and groom are standing at the altar. I listen to the person doing the ceremony give the same spiel you hear every time you go to a wedding. It's a snooze fest. You hear the vows, and it's either the traditional vows or, which has become much more popular now, the bride and groom write their own vows where they try to be too funny or too sweet, and it's just not for me. And then finally, they kiss, everybody claps, and then you have to wait to be dismissed, and then you wait another 30 minutes to an hour while the bride and groom go take photos and do all those things. The whole time I'm standing there, I'm hungry, trying not to be a slob by eating way too many hors d'oeuvres. Finally, the reception starts, and then you have to watch the bride and groom sway in the middle of the room, and then they call it dancing, even though that's not dancing. And then you watch the bride and groom do the same thing with their parents, and then you hear some nice speeches. And while all that's happening, you eat some decent food. And I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. Much like I don't think people enjoy the NBA regular season. There's 1,000 things about weddings that make me want to complain. I don't, because my wife likes weddings, and I want to make sure that she has a good time, okay? Then they open up the dance floor, and I'm over the hump when it comes to weddings. And I'm glad I'm there. Because the moment where the DJ's like, everybody come out here, and I get to walk out there and start dancing, believe it or not, I am a passable dancer. I don't know if I'm a good dancer. I'm a passable dancer. And all of the time that I get to spend on the floor with my friends makes all of the stuff that I don't like completely worth it. And that is how I think a lot of people feel about the NBA season. We watch these NBA teams sleepwalk through large chunks of the regular season. We watch the best players not show up and play games. Okay, we watch, teams like the Utah Jazz purposefully sit their best players in the fourth quarter so that they can tank and lose. We see head coaches get arrested by the FBI. That happened this year. Pretty insane. And it's frustrating. And there's a lot of complaining about the NBA regular season because all of these things happen, right? And, a lot of it is the NBA's own doing. Like, you can't really talk about the games because the best players don't consistently play. And so you can't break it down, whereas, we can talk about the Colts game all week because the best players play in every single Colts game. Like, that's what happens, okay? And so in the NBA, because the best players don't play every night, people just complain through the regular season, just like I do mentally through weddings. Then the playoffs start, and you're over the regular season hump. And it is immediately all worth it. It's like, I'm sitting on the couch last night. I'm like, this is great. This is the highest level of basketball on the planet. And these aren't even like the best teams in the playoffs. But when the best players are on the floor and they're playing in these games, then you're like, this is why the NBA is great. It's very similar to me at weddings whenever Soulja Boy comes on. And I'm like, this is why I came to the wedding. And the playing games last night symbolized why we like the NBA. Okay, the dance floor opened up last night, so to speak. The Hornets in the Heat game was so close the whole way, back and forth. Big shots are being made. Kobe White goes nuclear in the third quarter. Brandon Miller, hits a couple big shots down the stretch. Jaime Jaquez had a little, spurt where he was really good. Tyler Hero, hitting a three and then getting fouled on a three-pointer. Just the back and forth craziness of the game was awesome. And then you saw the Suns and the Blazers do the exact same thing. Back and forth a lot of the way. Denny Advia doing what he does best, getting downhill. Devin Booker making tough jumpers. Just a blast. So don't allow the pitiful NBA season to ruin what could be a great time for you. Okay, the NBA playoffs are a great time. And I hope you don't let a brutal regular season performance ruin the way that you view the playoffs. Okay? I mean, just an absolute blast the games were last night. And I'm so excited to talk about all of them. We're going to talk about the games a little bit tonight as well. At 1:40, we're going to give away Holiday World tickets, so make sure you are tuned in then. And again, we're going to have Kevin Putz on at 2:30. We're going to talk a little bit about, the Colts and the upcoming NFL draft. And I'm going to throw this theory at him. It's my Chris Ballard theory. So, Michael Jordan is the best basketball player ever. Say, Jonathan, you're talking about Chris Ballard. Why are you putting Chris Ballard and Michael Jordan in the same sentence? Just give me a minute, okay? There are a lot of NBA players that look up to Michael Jordan, okay? That's not really the case anymore because guys under the age of 30 never really saw him play. They all grew up watching Kevin Durant and LeBron James. What's interesting is, LeBron James is probably the second greatest basketball player ever. But a lot of these younger NBA players don't acknowledge LeBron James the same way that they do Kevin Durant. For example, Anthony Edwards has been vocal about Kevin Durant as his favorite player ever. And this is not an uncommon thing. You hear about all these different young guys, patterning their game after Kevin Durant and not LeBron James. Okay, you'll hear a lot of older NBA players as well say that Kevin Durant's their favorite player. Okay, Kevin Durant is your favorite basketball player's favorite player because there are things that he does in the NBA that players find more impressive than fans do. Kevin Durant's ability to get a bucket when there's no reason why he should be able to do so is why he's your favorite player's favorite player. It's the same thing in radio for me. Like, I'm sure that there are broadcasters out there that I like more than you do because of some minute detail that you don't care about because you've never broadcasted before. And I think that you can find stuff like this in every profession, right? And there's a part of me that wonders if that is why Chris Ballard is still employed by the Indianapolis Colts. Is it because of something like this? NFL circles are really small. Only so many people in the world have held a major front office position in the NFL. Only so many people in the world have owned an NFL team. Okay? And to Chris Ballard's credit, his ability to find suitable players on day 2 and day 3 of the NFL draft, it's impressive. It's round 1 where he's really struggled. Okay, here are some examples of his late draft wins. Hunter Wohler last year is going to play this year. He's a 7th-round pick out of Wisconsin. Tanner Bortolini, starting center, was a 4th-round pick. Anthony Gould, the Colts returner, he was a 4th-round pick. Adetomiwa Adebawore is arguably their best pass-rushing defensive tackle. They found him in the 4th round. Jalen Jones started for a full year. He was a 7th-round pick. Kylan Granson was, their pass-catching tight end for a few years. He was a 5th-round pick and is now playing for the Eagles. Will Fries, great right guard, became really expensive, so now he's playing in Minnesota. He was a 7th-round pick. Isaiah Rodgers was a 6th-round pick. E.J. Speed was a 5th-round pick. He was an okay starting linebacker for a long time. Zaire Franklin was a 7th-round pick. Led the league in tackles multiple times. And you can find more in there. These are just kind of the headliners of the day 3 picks for Chris Ballard. A lot of those guys have been solid NFL players. That is a lot of wins on day 3. Like when you draft a guy on day 3 of the NFL draft, you're like, special teamer, hopefully. Okay? And there's a part of me that wonders if because of Chris Ballard's ability to find guys late in the draft, if he's your favorite general manager's favorite general manager, like how Kevin Durant is your favorite NBA player's favorite NBA player. Okay? Kevin Durant finds value in shots where a lot of people just can't because of his physical skill. And I wonder if Chris Ballard is similar. And Kevin Durant is so good at hitting those shots that people ignore his most fatal flaw. And I wonder if people in like these inner circles in the NFL are so impressed by Chris Ballard's ability to find guys on day 3 that they just completely ignore his most fatal flaw. We don't ignore his most fatal flaw here on the Real Jonathan Smith Show. We talk about it quite a bit. But I think it's really similar to Durant, where people ignore his inability to be the face of a franchise and lead because of his ability to get buckets. It's why the Nets, Suns, and Rockets all gambled their franchises on him, and he's left 2 of them in significantly worse shape than when he found them. And I wonder if it's the same thing with Ballard. Like, are the Colts running their franchise into the ground because everyone that's been a general manager before, or has been a scout, or has been an owner, or anyone that really knows football is like, man, I know Chris Ballard struggles to find guys in the first round, but nobody's better at finding value on day 3. Like, sure, he's great on day 3 of the NFL draft, but like that doesn't make the playoffs from what we've seen at least. And it doesn't really seem like it's changing. Okay, the Colts are going to be on the outside once again, even if Chris Ballard has another great day 3 draft. Okay, like those day 3 fringe starters are nice. But at some point, like you have to be able to find a stud to be able to make the playoffs. And that's ultimately the Colts' issue. They can't find enough studs. They don't have enough standout, standalone dudes, which is something that you have to go on runs in the NFL. When you look at the Chiefs and you look at their runs, like they have dudes. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Chris Jones. That's 4 absolute studs. When you look at the Seahawks, it's not even Sam Darnold. I wouldn't even call Sam Darnold a stud. It's Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenneth Walker, Nick Emanwari on the defense, and Brandon Williams, their edge rusher, and so on. You have to have studs at multiple levels of your offense and defense. And even though Chris Ballard's great on day 3, he's not good enough on day 1, which is the most important round of the NFL draft. So, I don't know. That's my Chris Ballard theory. I think people in NFL circles like him and admire him. And, yeah. So, Chris Ballard thoughts. I'm ready to be done with my Chris Ballard thoughts. I'm ready to be done with them. But, I like theories. They're fun. Not as fun as the NBA playing games, though. Heat and Hornets last night was an absolute blast. Blazers and Suns was a lot of fun as well. My thoughts on those games in 3 minutes.
one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. You can head over there and subscribe, hop in the chat to be part of the conversation. You can also watch on X, _ Jonathan Smith, to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. And just what a night last night. Heat and Hornets, it couldn't have started the playoffs any better than what it did. You know, college basketball, it's getting better, you know, like just the overall level of play. Doesn't come close, though, to what we saw last night in terms of just the shot making in that game. The big threes late, LaMelo's game-winning layup. I mean, the game was so good that everyone forgot about LaMelo Ball pulling a Johnny Lawrence and sweeping Bam Adebayo's leg. That's how good the game was. Everyone just forgot about that. Speaking of that, here is Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra after the game talking about that leg sweep from LaMelo Ball.
I didn't see it, but I don't think it's cute. I don't think it's funny. I think it's a stupid play. It's a dangerous play. Obviously, our best player is out. I'm not making an excuse. The Hornets played great, you know, and they made those plays down the stretch. We had our opportunities to win. I just, that's a shame. You know, he should be penalized for that. I don't think that belongs in the game, you know, tripping guys, you know, shenanigans. And, you know, Curtis was there. It's his responsibility to see that. And if it's not his responsibility, then Zach's got to see it. If, you know, somebody has got to see that, and that, you know, he should have been thrown out of the game, you know, for that. I don't know him from, you know, anyone. There's no place in the game for that. Obviously, you know, it took Bam out of the game.
Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra right there talking about the leg sweep from LaMelo Ball that ultimately ended up putting Bam Adebayo out of the game. Brutal stuff there. It's a brutal thing that happened. And, you know, I don't need to reiterate everything that Erik Spoelstra said, but like that play greatly changed the game. The referees missed it because there was a changing of possession. They couldn't go back and review it. And so the Hornets caught a break from the referees that had a pretty large impact on the outcome of the game. And some people have asked if, you know, LaMelo's going to get suspended for the next game. I think that'd be a bridge too far, but the game definitely goes differently if Bam Adebayo doesn't leave in the middle of it. But this is part of the drama of one and done games. Okay. So I'm glad that LaMelo stayed in because he obviously ended up being a large part of the Hornets winning that game and hitting a big shot down the stretch. So we'll see what the league ends up doing. They said that they're going to go back and review the play, and they'll have a ruling out probably today because they said that they wanted it out before Friday when the Hornets play again. Ross, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm great. What's going on?
Good. I got to see most of the fourth quarter of the Hornets Heat game. It was pretty good back and forth. I asked a question of our Misfits group chat. Do you think that DeBanza would be a good comparison to Brandon Miller or vice versa? Do you think that's like how he would be, like style of play and size and all that kind of stuff? Or can you think of like maybe a better comp?
I think size-wise, I think they're similar. I think DeBanza's a little thicker. The difference, though, would be did you watch the Blazers game last night by chance? The game started at 10.
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't. I saw that the Blazers won and that
Denny Avia?
Yeah.
So I would compare DeBanza more to a guy like Denny, because the thing with Brandon Miller coming out of Alabama is he shot the ball really well. I don't think DeBanza is quite the shooter that Brandon Miller is. I think you're going to look at him where he's going to be a guy who's going to go to the rim a lot and use kind of his strength and length to finish around the rim, very similar to Denny. So I'd compare him more to Avia than Brandon Miller.
Yeah, I'm not that. I'll be honest. I wasn't even really familiar with who he was. I just saw that he had like 40.
Yeah.
And I know he was an all-star, but I was very unfamiliar. And I look back, and wouldn't you know it, he's in that 2020 draft that Halliburton and Edwards and, Toppin. And it's like, man, we're starting to see a lot of that draft more and more like come to fruition, Neesmith. And it actually ended up being a pretty decent first round of guys, Isaiah Stewart and whatnot. So that's kind of interesting.
It is. And my favorite thing about it is Denny Avia. He did an interview with a podcast and was basically like he thought that the Bulls were going to take him at 4, and then they ended up taking Patrick Williams that year, if I remember correctly. And now Patrick Williams he's coming off the bench, and then he's doing this in Portland. I think it's funny.
Yeah, it's hindsight. It's 2020, but it's I know they would love to have Halliburton or any of those guys now, and it happens. Brandon Miller was who was the one number one when Miller went 2? Was that the Wembanyama year?
Yeah, Wembanyama went 1 that year.
1 and then Miller. Okay, because it seems I don't know if there's like a early bust out of that. I'd have to look back to see who was in that. But
maybe Scoot Henderson, but he played well last night. Scoot Henderson went 3rd to Portland, but we'll see.
Yeah, and there was some of those guys that, I know him and what's the guy you mentioned yesterday? The Shaden Sharp.
Yeah.
And some of those that were like really like long-term projects and stuff like that. I think you get, Darren Peterson and some of them this year that could, it seems like freshman, of getting picked. So could be a very similar. I'm definitely hoping for the Pacers to pick up somebody like that. So
absolutely,
we see what they can do in the playoffs. So, did you get a chance to watch the Portland documentary thing yet?
I did. I watched it yesterday, and I wish I'd watched it before the show because, we had Frank Isola on. He was talking about Chauncey Billups getting arrested at the start of the year, and that Jailblazers thing just doesn't seem to leave Portland. I thought it was really good, especially as someone who was like an infant when all that happened. Rasheed Wallace, man, I wish I'd been alive I wish I'd been a little more cognizant of what was happening at that time. He's just what a loose cannon. Like everyone complains about Draymond Green, but Draymond Green didn't pick up 41 techs in a single season. That was nuts.
I think of him more on the Pistons from those teams like that played the Pacers like in the brawl years and stuff like that. And he was kind of nuts, but it's the fact that there was a guy from Marion and a guy from Muncie on the Jailblazers doesn't surprise me growing up in that area.
That's funny. Thanks for the call, Ross.
Have a good day, guys.
You too, man. See ya. The misfit Ross calling in there. Good call there. I like it. All right. Good questions. Yeah, the Jailblazers doc. If you get a chance to watch it, Chris, it's really good. I learned so much.
I might check it out. Since you've been talking about it, it's popped up in my suggested. You know what I mean? So
my bad.
That's okay.
My fault there. What about Chessmates? Has that one popped up yet?
Not yet, but
okay.
I'm sure it will be.
That one's good too. Back to the game. Yeah, so there's a chance that LaMelo Ball could be suspended for their game tomorrow night. We'll see what ends up happening with that. I think John with a great comment. What a slap in the face that would be to Miami. Say, hey, what he did was wrong. Sorry we didn't toss him out of the game, but at least we suspended him after your season was over, which is just funny. So, here's my thing though. I thought that play in particular was a really good argument against reviewing plays. And I say that, people are like, oh, well, what do you mean? Because if they'd gone back and reviewed it, maybe LaMelo gets tossed, right? Here's the thing, though. Everyone in Miami that cares about Miami Heat basketball, that is what they're going to talk about all day today. And they're going to complain about how the referees missed it. And everyone in Charlotte is going to talk about how thankful they are that the referees missed that play. I just think that it adds another layer to the sports talk. Whereas when you get every single call right, I mean, people in Dallas are still talking about the Des Bryant catch. That wasn't a catch, by the way. So I don't want that to take away from how great that game was. Brandon Miller hit multiple big shots. He's really developed. It's been really kind of impressive. He's also finally stayed healthy as well. LaMelo inside the 3-point line was really good. 2 of 16 from 3 is not. That's pretty terrible. But I wish he reminds me a little bit of Tyrese Halliburton in terms of I wish he would attack the rim more because his float game is so good and he makes passing look so easy. And whenever he got 2 feet in the paint, the Hornets got a good shot. And I feel the same way about Tyrese Halliburton. We talked about it a lot around this time last year. You know, Halliburton needs to touch the paint more. He needs to touch the paint more. I feel a very similar way about LaMelo. I thought Davion Mitchell for Miami was incredible last night. Showed why he got so many buckets at Baylor when he was in college. You know, he's just a little undersized, but he's just tough, man. Like that's the kind of guy you want on your team. Kobe White, hometown kid, all-time leading scorer in the history of North Carolina high school basketball. He went nuclear in that third quarter. It was awesome. Hearing the crowd pops throughout the game was just beautiful. It was really just an elite product, minus the technical difficulties from Amazon Prime and the fact that the sound was ahead of the movements and the fact that they showed that the Heat had 1 timeout left at the end of overtime when they actually didn't have any. Aside from all that, the game was an absolute blast. And Amazon Prime, I mean, Chris, you texted me, like, technical difficulties, what is happening?
Yeah, did you notice that? Did you get that too? At the end,
I was
like,
sitting there.
What a convenient time to have a technical difficulty.
Amelia was sitting on the couch, and I was freaking out a little bit. Because I was like, did I hit something? But you know what? Because there's like 2 minutes left.
No
you
wonder
know?
This is a free trial.
I'm like, what did I? It's like, your free trial has ended. Yeah. I was freaking out a little bit, and Amelia was like, Jonathan, like, it's the broadcast. The timer at the bottom is still moving. And so I just, how does that happen?
I don't know. I'm glad it came back on. But question for you. Ultimately, watching this game, and I got to watch the majority of the game, would you say that the Miami Heat were the better team overall?
I didn't think that they were. And I was about to get into this.
Okay.
I thought that the right team won the game as well. All of the grumpy dwarves of the world are going to take the opportunity to complain about how the Hornets took 56 threes and the Heat took 41. And 3-point shooting has become a large part of basketball in both the NBA and the college level. But here's the other part of the NBA that no one realizes has become a major focal point of a lot of these teams. Offensive rebounding. That has become all the, you know, I don't think that you need analytics for this, but apparently you do. If you get more possessions than your opponent, you have a better chance to win the game. You know, and we apparently needed analytics to figure that out. And, you know, Khalil Ware last night was awesome for Miami. He had 19 rebounds. 6 of them were offensive. He was really good for Miami, you know, in terms of enabling them to kind of hang around in that game. But Moussa Diabate, Moose, as they call him, he had 8 offensive rebounds. The Hornets had 17 offensive rebounds as a team to the Heat's 12. They got 5 more possessions. They had more assists than Miami. That ultimately, I think, ended up being the difference in the game, even though the Heat shot the ball better from 3. It didn't matter because the Hornets were better on the glass. I thought that when the ball went up, the game was really physical, which is always fun to watch. And you're going to see a lot more of that because offensive rebounding has become so important. So, yeah, I thought that the better team won. Now, would Miami have been the better team if Bam Adebayo played the whole game? It's very possible.
See, I disagree, man. Front to back from what I watched, especially towards the end of the fourth, dude, Miami ran Charlotte up and down the floor. Like they were owning them. And like you see that Charlotte had to take 10 more shots than Miami did throughout the night.
That's true. That's
And at the beginning, it looked like Charlotte couldn't make a button. Like there was a lid on the rim, like nothing was going in. I thought Miami would have pulled that out. They just fell short.
Yeah, I think hey, that's a totally fair point. I thought that the Hornets got better shots though. Even though they didn't shoot it as well. I mean, a lot of look, ultimately the team that gets better shots usually wins the game. And like you said, the Hornets had like a stretch in the third quarter where or excuse me, the fourth quarter where like you said there was a lid on the basket. I still thought that the shots that they got were good though, and they were open. Whereas with Miami, it felt like a lot of let's ask Davion Mitchell to go off the bounce or Tyler Hero or Jaime Jaquez. And I thought ultimately, the team that gets better shots should normally win. And I thought Charlotte got better shots, even though you're right, they didn't shoot it as well. 44% from the floor to Miami's 48%. And 32% from three to Miami's 39%. So even though they didn't shoot it as well, I thought they got better shots.
Fair enough.
Which happens sometimes. I just I thought I appreciated what Con Knipple said before the game. I don't know if you caught this, but they asked him. Oh, Nips. Yeah. My bad. I he he made an interesting point. They asked him, like how do you win games like this? Which I think it's interesting to ask a rookie that question. And he just said, sometimes shots don't fall, so you have to rely on all of the other things, which is offensive rebounding and things of that nature. And I thought that the Hornets did a really nice job of that. What's awesome is that was only the beginning of the night. Suns and Blazers was just as good. I'll give you my thoughts on that game in 3 minutes. Convivio Italian Artisan Cuisine believes food brings people together. They offer a well-curated wine list and a variety of menu items that are influenced by each of Italy's unique regions. And their pasta is always made fresh. Come share a meal with them at their Carmel, Zionsville, or brand new Noblesville location. Starting on Friday, log on to indiesportsticket.com at 9 a.m. to get $100 in Convivio gift certificates for only $50. Again, that deal is at indiesportsticket.com.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM. So many ways to listen. There's really no excuse not to. Coming up in an hour, we're going to play another game to give away some Holiday World tickets. We're going to give away more on Friday as well. It'll be wrestling themed on Friday, so that's cool. Today, our game is NFL draft themed. Speaking of the NFL draft, we got Kevin Potts coming on at 2:30 today as well. But we're going to keep it rolling here, talking hoops. Hornets, Heat, amazing game last night. Blazers and Suns was every bit as good. And I just, oh man. I feel like the Blazers and Suns game, I think, was a better representation of what NBA basketball is. So the Blazers come out on fire. I mean, they're lighting it up. You know, they shoot like 50% from three in the first half, and the Suns started like 0 of 9 from three, and the Blazers are getting all these great shots. They're getting 2 feet in the paint, spraying it out to open shooters, or they're getting layups, and it was really good offense. And then the Suns played like a lot of one-on-one. But this is what makes the NBA awesome. Jalen Green gets hot late. Like, starts making threes, hitting ridiculous shots off the bounce. Cuts it to 3 going into halftime. So even though you felt like the Blazers significantly outplayed Phoenix, it didn't matter because one guy gets hot, the Suns go on a run, and they cut it to 3 going into halftime. So even though the threes weren't falling, a couple guys for Phoenix had it going, right? Devin Booker had 16. Jalen Green had 21. And ultimately, when you have 2 guys who can get you a good shot on their own, like, you're always going to be able to stay in the game, even if you aren't making perimeter shots. And I thought that Phoenix last night was a really good example of that between really 3 guys, because Dylan Brooks had it cooking there for a moment as well. And the second half, pure cinema. I mean, just incredible stuff on both ends of the floor. Like, Danny Avia, all-star this year, should be in all in NBA selection. He was going to the rim every time he got the ball. Every time he caught it, everyone knew. It's like he's going to the rim, and he wants to use his right hand at the rim. And it did not matter. He still got to the rim whenever he wanted. Dylan Brooks hit a couple of insane shots. He had like a step back, fadeaway 3 from like 24 feet. Didn't even touch the rim. It was really annoying because I don't really like Dylan Brooks, but that's fine, right? That shot, I still can't believe he made it. Shot had no business going in. And then, you got Devin Booker doing his thing where he's just like, I'm going to dribble you down to my spot, the elbow, and I'm going to score when I get there. And, that his ability to do that was on full display. And then the game got incredibly physical and chippy. The Trailblazers and the Phoenix Suns are 2 of the most physical teams in the NBA. Very intrigued to see how the how the Blazers and the Spurs kind of match up, because like Donovan Clingan is the center for Portland. He's huge. He just, absorbs every rebound. It's really impressive. And so Phoenix and Portland, like, they're getting chippy. There's some pushing. There's some shoving. There's a lot of trash talk that's happening. And the defense in the game was just, it's about as good as it gets. Both teams, 1 through 5, had players on the floor at all times who could really guard. It was a little bit different than what we saw in the Charlotte game. Like, LaMelo Ball can't really defend, right? So there was kind of like a weak link there for the Heat to kind of pick on. Bam Adebayo gets hurt, one of the better defenders in the league. And so, that kind of put a little bit of a dent in the Miami Heat defense. If you think that NBA teams don't play defense, go back and watch that fourth quarter. and watch the way that those guys got in a stance and defended. And because of the defense that was played and because of the effort and the energy that was on display, the back and forth at the end of the game was just incredible. Denver's down. They call a timeout. They come out of the timeout with just a beautiful, beautiful play drawn up. Devin Booker finds Goodwin underneath the basket, makes the layup, gets fouled, and won. But then he missed the free throw. That was kind of that was one of the issues for Phoenix last night. They didn't make their foul shots. And then the Blazers come down. And it is I don't know if a clip will make me happier than what I saw at the end of Blazers and Suns last night. It was just like the best, I think, symbol of what basketball ultimately is. And Denny Avdia brings the ball up the floor. He's got 30. He's got 38. He's had it going the whole night. And he's just dribbling the basketball. And, the Blazers line up, whatever set that they're about to run. Shaedon Sharpe has brought Dylan Brooks into the middle of the floor. He's clearly going to set some kind of screen. And Denny Avdia takes his left hand and just goes, "Hey, everybody, please move. Get out of the way. I like the guy who's guarding me." And look, when you do that, like, you have to score. You have to. Like, there's no option at that point. You can't wave everybody off with the game on the line and then not score. And the thing that I appreciate about Denny Avdia, he only does what he does well. He doesn't take like a step back jumper. Nope. He put his head down and he went to the rim like he had done the entire game. The entire game. And Denny Avdia clears everybody out. He breaks Goodwin down off the bounce, like freezes him with this like double between the legs, gets to the rim, gets fouled, finishes with his right hand because you knew he was going right, makes the free throw. They go up by 2, and then they turn Phoenix over, and Jeremy Grant closes the game out with a dunk with like 0.3 seconds left. And again, I thought that the right team won the game. Portland took 9 more shots than Phoenix. They made 8 more threes than Phoenix. They grabbed 4 more offensive rebounds than Phoenix. They played a more complete game, and I thought that they ultimately got easier shots than the Suns did throughout that game. And game 1 was awesome. Game 2 was every bit as awesome. And I had a blast, and oh man, just makes me happy. I freaking love the NBA. And yeah, oh man. Sorry. It was good last night. So we've got more games tonight as well. That's the really exciting part about all of this. I was talking to Chris about it during the break, just kind of talking about who's playing and stuff. And the first game I think is going to be fascinating. It's the Magic and the 76ers. If this game had a sponsor, like, how like for college football games they have sponsors. It's like the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and the Vizio Fiesta Bowl or whatever. If this game had a sponsor, it would be sponsored by Google Glass. It would be the Google Glass play-in game. Do you know what Google Glass is, Chris?
Never heard of it.
So back in 2013, Google created these glasses that were supposed to replace smartphones. Like, I don't know if you've seen like the Meta glasses that are out now.
Yeah.
Very similar, just like a little bit ahead of its time. So they released this thing called Google Glass. Product flops. It was nothing but disappointing. Just like the Orlando Magic and the Philadelphia 76ers this year. Both of these teams thought that they were going to be good this year. And then they finished below teams like the Raptors, a team that everybody thought was going to be bad. And they finished below teams like the Hawks, who everybody thought was going to be a play-in team again. Both teams really struggled to stay healthy. Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Apollo Banchero all dealt with injuries for Orlando this year. For the 76ers, Paul George got suspended for 25 games. Joel Embiid missed over half the season again. Tyrese Maxey missed a lot of time with an injury as well. These are two teams that did not expect to be in the playing game, especially when they heard that, the Pacers were going to be bad because Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. And, everyone thought that Boston was going to be bad because Jason Tatum got hurt. So these are two teams that had really high expectations coming into the season. The Magic traded away 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane in the offseason, thinking that this was going to be a guy who kind of elevated them. And, I don't he obviously hasn't because they're the 7th seed, but being in the playing game wasn't supposed to happen to either one of these teams. But here they are with a chance to get things rolling in the right direction. Winners is going to play Boston in the first round. I don't think that the Celtics should look forward to playing either one of these teams because when the Magic want to be, they can be one of the best defensive teams in basketball. Their issues, offense. We'll see if they can score enough points tonight. They don't have a ton of shooting, but it's a really big game for them. Like, this is a crossroads game for them. Jamal Mosley is on the hot seat. Paulo Banchero or Franz Wagner could get traded if they fall apart here. This is a big game for them in terms of the future of their franchise. And for Philly, look, we talked about the process with them forever and how they tanked and how they did, all these different things. And they have 0 conference finals appearances to show for it. So for Philly, look, if they can find a way to stay healthy, they're good enough to beat anybody. The issue is Joel Embiid's out right now because he had an appendectomy, which is just brutal. If the 76ers, though, can just stay healthy for a full series, they can beat anybody. Like, they're that talented. Nick Nurse is that good of a head coach. They just have to find a way to stay healthy. Same thing goes for Orlando. Both teams are decently healthy right now. I think Philly's only missing Embiid. The Magic are pretty much fully healthy in terms of their main guys. So there's a lot of really good players in this game. And I think we're going to get something really similar to what we got last night with those games. Because when you get great players and a winner-take-all game, you're probably going to get something special. That's what we got last night. That's why it's been so much fun. And hopefully we're going to get that once again tonight. I went 2-0 last night. Wait, no, I didn't. I went 1-1 last night on my bets. I had Charlotte to cover, which they did, and I had Arizona. I had the Suns to cover. They did not. So 1-1 so far. Tonight, I'm going to take the Orlando Magic plus 1.5 against Philly. I think Philly's going to struggle size-wise because they don't have Joel Embiid. So we're going to take the Magic plus 1.5. And then the late game tonight, Steph Curry and Kawhi Leonard. Like, what more do you need?
Are these going to be on Amazon Prime again?
Yes.
Or do I need to get another app and free trial somewhere?
No, these games are on. They're on Amazon Prime.
Right,
these
perfect.
games are on Amazon Prime.
All right.
I have a critique for the NBA on that, by the way. I'll tell you what that is when we come back in about 4 minutes.
do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. Whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X__Jonathan Smith. Follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. Great night in basketball last night. Hour number 2 getting underway after a great hour number 1. And Chris made a comment, which is a totally fair one. He asked if he was going to need a new streaming service to watch the games tonight. Here's my one critique for it. So, if you watch the Major League Baseball playoffs, you know where every game is immediately. So, if the Cubs are in the playoffs, which rough start to the season for my Cubs. If they make the playoffs and the first game of their series is on TBS, I know that every game in that series is going to be on TBS. That is not how the NBA playoffs work this year. So the Celtics in their first round series, they're going to play on ABC, and then they're going to be on NBC, and then they're going to be on Prime for 2 games, and then they're going to go back to ABC, and then they're going to go back to Prime, and then they're going to be on NBC, and who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third. That's basically what's happening here. And that is something that is a problem, having to bounce around to find your favorite team. For a guy like me who just likes basketball, whatever, it doesn't matter. But next year, whenever the Pacers are in this, that's going to be a frustrating thing. That needs to be fixed.
Yeah, because I know they run the Pacer games on the FanDuel network or whatever up until the postseason. And then after that, you're like, good luck.
Seriously. Yeah, good luck. Oh, and by the way, we're going to play Twister with all these games. Every game is going to be on a different channel. But to be fair, at least they don't change channels at halftime like they're doing with WWE. That's still wild to me.
I'm sure it'll make sense whenever it happens, but on the surface, it looks really dumb.
It is. Because it's on one channel.
There's no halftime in WWE. There's no end of the quarter or anything like that. But they'll probably play some kind of package, some promo package to hype up the next match while you're switching channels, and it'll take 5 to 7 minutes anyway.
An intermission?
No.
No intermission.
No intermission. No.
Okay. All right. Do you know who Zach Bryan is?
I do. Yeah. Something in orange, right?
Have you seen the clip of him trying to play basketball?
No.
Oh, dude, it is. It's not pretty. It's brutal. I guess he's from Kentucky. He's playing at Louisville, and brutal stuff here. Brutal stuff from Zach Bryan trying to play basketball. He's dribbling the ball up over his head. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's talk a little more sports. So NBA playoffs, having to switch around. Not a fan of that. I am a fan of the play-in games tonight, though. Already talked a little bit about Magic and Sixers. Warriors Clippers tonight. I can't wait. Warriors Clippers tonight is going to be such a good game. And anytime Steph Curry is playing basketball, it's immediately worth tuning in for. I think Kawhi Leonard falls in the same category as well. Kawhi Leonard's might be first team all NBA this year. We'll see. He's had a really good season. He'll be all NBA, though, one way or the other. What more do you need to know? I mean, seriously, you've got 2 of, the 10 best players of the last decade playing on your TV tonight. I mean, in a winner-take-all game, whoever loses this game, it's done. And then you throw in the fact that this is going to get you ready for wrestling on Saturday. So, Jonathan, what are you talking about? We're going to see Draymond Green fall from the rafters and drop kick somebody.
That would be awesome.
Or something like we're going to get something like that, right? And so, the game's going to be chippy. It's going to be physical because Draymond Green's going to be playing. You're going to see some high-quality shot making because Steph Curry and Kawhi Leonard are playing. And then you throw in, you got a former Pacer out there. Darius Garland and Benedict Mathurin both traded there right before the deadline, and they've both given the Clippers a little more of a punch on the offensive side of the ball. And the thing about the Clippers, and I'll be honest, like I would like to like talk this game up in a huge way. It's like, man, like I don't know who's gonna win this game. I think the Clippers are so much better than Golden State. I don't think it's really close. The only reason the Clippers are in the play-in is because they got off to such a brutal start. But when they've been healthy, they've been a really good team. Again, I wish I had some like big take, that was like super interesting. I don't. The Clippers are significantly better than Golden State. They have more size. Kawhi Leonard, again, he's going to be an all-NBA guy this year. They have more depth. The only way the Warriors win this game, and this right here alone is a great reason to tune in and watch the game. The only way the Warriors win is if Steph goes nuclear, which can absolutely happen. I think we all remember Game 7 against the Houston Rockets in 2016, where he's got 0 points at halftime. Excuse me, it was Game 6. He's got 0 points at halftime on the road against Houston. And then all of a sudden, he just erupts and he scores like 35 in the second half. And it was awesome. It was so much fun to see. So he can absolutely do that. But if that doesn't happen, I like the Clippers to win pretty handily. I'm surprised that the line's only 5.5. So I'm going to take the Clippers tonight to cover that 5.5 point spread. So we're taking the Magic plus 1.5, and we're going to take the Clippers minus 5.5. I think that they'll cover that pretty easily. So I was driving into work today, and NBA ratings are like a major thing that people really like to talk about. For some reason, everyone likes to say that the NBA is dying and that all these, things like that are happening. I don't really think that that's true. If you look at some numbers came out this morning, all of the signs point to people are watching the NBA more, not less. So anyway, I will say, the ratings people out there, they like to point to the ratings last year between the Pacers and the Thunder in the NBA Finals and be like, number wasn't great. Fair enough. Here's my question. And Chris, I would like your thoughts on this, because I would say that, I probably like basketball a little bit more than you do, and that's okay. Who are the guys that if they were to make the NBA Finals, you would be like, okay, I'm absolutely watching?
Wemby.
Okay.
Or SGA, because I was impressed with them last year.
Okay.
I know only one of the two can make it, but probably from the East, then probably the Celtics. Or Tatum.
Yeah, Tatum. Because it's such an interesting thing, because, to do the whole ratings game thing, like Major League Baseball's World Series ratings weren't very good. And then all of a sudden they had the Dodgers and the Yankees, and all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, everybody loves baseball again. I think the Dodgers and the Yankees just played in the World Series, and we got to see Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge and so on. And the NBA is different. Like, look, if the Celtics and the Lakers played in the NBA Finals, it get a huge number because of who those teams are. But the NBA is just so individualized that, like, for example, if the Lakers and the Celtics played in the finals, I don't think my mom would care. But if Wemby made the finals, I think my mom would be interested.
I totally agree. And I had a problem with this. I mentioned it on my show a while back. We were talking about like how, in the 90s, the Pacers, they felt like they had a team. You were watching a team. It wasn't just like Reggie Miller versus Jordan. Nowadays, it's like, it's either, it's not Lakers, Celtics, it's LeBron versus, Tatum or whatever. It's not so much a team anymore. And that's a big disconnect.
It is. And that is one of the really nice things about the Pacers. Like,
they have a good team. Yeah.
Feels like a team. It's guys who have been here. And, it's really hard to fault guys for leaving for more money. Like, they have a short window to make as much money as they can, all that kind of stuff. But the fact that Aaron Nesmith's been here for like 4 years now, and Andrew Nembhard's been with the Pacers, ever since he was drafted by them. This is Halliburton's 3rd or 4th year with the team. Obi Toppin's been here for a couple years now. It's just there's a lot of familiarity there. And I do think you're right in locally, I think that matters a lot.
Absolutely.
So,
No question.
and even like, but then again, Indiana's different. I saw this chart yesterday, and it was talking about like the difference in wins and how that lines up with attendance. It's like the Hornets won like 20 more games this year than they did last year, and there's a huge like spike in their attendance. The Pacers won 30 less games this year than they did last year, and the attendance basically stayed the same.
Well, that might have something to do with them making the finals last year too. So whoever was like, you know what I mean? Because at the beginning of the season, we didn't know that we were only going to win, whatever, 15 games, something like that.
Yeah. But even like when I went last Friday, pretty full.
Yeah.
I have my theory. We're in Naptown. Yeah. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory.
Okay.
I was gonna say like we're in Naptown. What else are you gonna do on Friday nights?
Touche. Fair enough.
I probably shouldn't make fun of Indy like that, but I mean,
That's a whole nother conversation.
It is, and one that I should probably avoid. But yeah, I just the games last night I thought were so good, and I just hope that it continues. Look, are we going to get game winners every game? Absolutely not. When the 8 seeds play the 1 seeds, we're going to get blowouts in probably all 4 games. The second round of the playoffs, though, I do think we're going to get a lot of really entertaining games. I mean, look, like the Thunder are going to sweep, either the Suns or, the Clippers or the Warriors, whoever they wind up playing. The Pistons are probably going to handle, whoever they end up playing out the East, whether it's Charlotte or the Magic or Philly. The 2 seeds are probably going to have a pretty easy time. Like the Spurs are probably going to sweep Portland. The Celtics probably going to beat, whether it's Orlando or Philly. And then, like the 3 and 6 and 4 and 5 series, like they're usually good, but they're never like they're never the main event. And maybe that'll be different this year because I think Knicks Hawks is going to be interesting. You have LeBron James and Kevin Durant in your 4-5 matchup. Like who doesn't want to watch that? You've got, for the third time in the last 3 years, we got the Nuggets and the Timberwolves playing in the playoffs, right? So like the 3-6 and 4-5 games are going to be interesting, but like the second round, if things fall the way that they should, that's where it gets really interesting. Watching like San Antonio and Denver, hopefully 7 games of Jokic and Wemby going at each other. I mean, sign me up for that. When it's, probably the Rockets and the Thunder, 2 really young teams that really guard Kevin Durant going back to Oklahoma City. I mean, sign me up for that. If we get Celtics Knicks, that series last year was interesting, and sadly Jason Tatum got hurt, but like a rematch of that series from last year would be fun. Cleveland has been trying to get over the hump for like the last 5 years. They made all these moves for Donovan Mitchell, and sadly they continue to run into the Pacers, and they can never get past them. And obviously, Indiana isn't in their way this year. Instead, it's this Pistons team that doesn't have very much playoff experience against a Cleveland team that has a lot of playoff experience that made this trade for, James Harden, which, if you're trying to win playoff games, I don't know why you're trading for James Harden, but they made that trade because they think that they have a decent chance to win it this year. So the second round of the playoffs, things are really going to heat up, and I can't wait. Real playoff games start Saturday. We got great games tonight, more great games tomorrow. And again, I can't wait. It's going to be an absolute blast. Just a heads up, tomorrow I will not be doing a show. I have to get a root canal again on the same tooth. I'm not annoyed about it at all. So just a short little heads up on that. With that being said, like I'm still going to watch the games tonight and have a freaking blast while I'm doing it. So, oh man, the playing games have been awesome. It's Wednesday, which means that we have to do Over the Hump Day. We'll have our Over the Hump Day segment for you when we come back in 3 minutes.
it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app. 14:30 a.m. if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. So many ways to listen. Really no excuse not to. We are playing a game, giving away Holiday World tickets coming up here in about 20 minutes. Same format as yesterday. You'll call in. We'll play the game. You'll probably win tickets because I'm not that smart. And it'll be good. You know, and you'll be able to take someone to Holiday World with you. We're going to give away more tickets on Friday as well. And our game will be WWE themed. Shout out Chris for putting these games together. Two big things happened yesterday before we get to Over the Hump Day. First, Indiana signed a 7'2" center, the big guy from SMU. I'm blanking on his name right now. All you need to know is that he's 7'2" and he's Serbian, right? So, I mean, what more do you need to know about the guy? Played well at SMU. I've noticed that everybody that Indiana signs, everyone's like, this guy is highly sought after. This is a highly sought after guy in the portal. And maybe that's true. It probably is, because 7'2" guys don't really grow on trees. Did a really good job rebounding and finishing around the rim for SMU last year. Grady's happy, so I'm happy. That's really, you know, all that I need to hear. I do appreciate the shift from Indiana.
Can you pronounce his name? It's like Samet.
Here, let me pull him up. Let me actually try here before, like, you know, I'm big on trying here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at least gonna
give it a shot.
All right, here we go. Okay. He's Turkish. Samet. Yigitoglu.
Works for me.
Yeah, that's way off. You know, he's got the little asterisks and things above different letters in his name and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, he's a Hoosier. So Indiana getting a little bit bigger on that front line, which is important, right? Because if you're going to win in the Big Ten, you have to have big bodies, because you know that there's going to be some big centers throughout the Big Ten. The other big news: Diana Rossini officially resigned yesterday, and just, you know, what a tough day for her, I guess. I don't even really know where to go with this. Like, this isn't surprising. The photos were pretty convincing of what was going on with her and Coach Vrabel. I know some people are complaining, you know, about why does Vrabel get to keep his job and all that kind of stuff. Because Mike Vrabel's one of the best head coaches in the NFL. And there's just a difference between morals and ethics. Like, this is a moral issue for Mike Vrabel, who's married. For Diana Rossini, it is both a moral and ethical issue, because morally, she's married. Ethically, this impacts how she does her job. And so when you do things that, you know, that are ethically wrong, it's going to be really tough to keep your job. Whereas moral things, you can pass them off as, you know, it's a personal matter. It doesn't really have to do with my job at all. But, you know, anyway, so she stepped down from the Athletic, and, you know, we'll see where she ends up, because, you know, she'll get another job at some point. This will blow over. Everyone will forget. And, you know, whenever she comes back, we'll talk about it for 2 weeks. And whenever she breaks a story, there'll be like a small selection of people who make the same jokes about it. But ultimately, she'll land on her feet and she'll be fine. Speaking of landing on your feet, she has to get over the hump first. And it's Wednesday, which means it is time for Over the Hump Day.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo! Hump day!
No, as a coach, I gotta get us over that hump. I gotta get them comfortable, knowing that you're gonna be in close games and you gotta make plays coming down the home stretch. I mean, in the tournament, we were right there. I just didn't get them over the hump, man. And that's something that I live with every day of my life. Because I truly believe that was the team to really make some noise and get to the finals, and I just couldn't get them over the hump.
Best sounder I've ever made. Not really a close second. So good. So good. All right, over the hump day, NBA playoff / NBA season edition. The NBA play-in games started last night. And the NBA season, for me, it's a lot like going to a wedding. It's about just getting over the hump. Once you get over the hump, you have a really good time. I have to go to a wedding on Saturday. Not really looking forward to it, which is normal. So let me just quickly walk you through my normal wedding feelings whenever I'm there. Every time I go to a wedding, doesn't matter whose it is, I'm not exactly looking forward to it. I don't think anyone wants to spend their I don't think sports watching males like spending their Saturdays that way. And I complain a lot internally, just like how people complain a lot during the NBA's regular season. So whenever, my wife and I go to a wedding, we get there early. You want to make sure you're seated. You don't want to be sliding in while people are walking down the aisle. You want to be respectful of what's happening. So we show up early. You sit in the sun because everyone has their weddings outdoors now. You sit in the sun for like 15 to 30 minutes, waiting for the ceremony to start. And then it finally starts. And all these people walk down the aisle. I've noticed like small wedding parties, no longer a thing. I had 6 people in my wedding party. So I had 6 grooms. Amelia had 6 bridesmaids. That's not a thing anymore. Everyone has like double digits. I'm like, how do you guys have this many friends? That's kind of crazy. And so seriously, I don't get it. So all these people walk down the aisle, and then finally the bride and groom are standing at the altar. You listen to, the pastor or whoever's doing the ceremony give the same spiel you hear every time you go to a wedding. It's an absolute snooze fest. And then you get to the vows. Maybe some places, like I've been to some weddings where people sing songs. I've been to other weddings where Amelia and I, we took communion together before we did our vows. And so sometimes there's something in between. And then you just sit there and you're just like, I guess I'm just going to fold my hands and sit here and watch. And then finally you get to the vows. And it's either the traditional vows, which I'm a fan of, or they're vows that the bride and groom write, where they often try to be too funny or too sweet. It's not for me, which isn't a fair thing for me to say, given that Amelia and I wrote our own vows because I wanted us to write our own vows. And I will say my vows killed. So funny. Anyway, so they, do their vows or whatever. They finally kiss. Everyone claps. Yay. Music comes on. And then they walk out. Not at a fast pace, ever. And then you wait another 30 minutes to an hour, if you're lucky, while they go take photos. And the whole time, me personally, I'm standing there I'm hungry, trying not to be a slob by just grabbing every hors d'oeuvre that comes by. Finally, you get to the reception. And, you have to, watch the bride and groom stand in the middle of the room and, sway back and forth. And they call that dancing. I wouldn't call it dancing, but, hey, it's fine. And then you watch the bride and groom do the same swaying motion, this time with their parents. And then you hear some nice speeches. And while all that's happening, you're eating some decent food. Wedding food. Way overpriced, by the way. I don't enjoy it. Really at all. There's 1,000 things about it that make me want to complain. I don't, because I want my wife to have a good time because she loves weddings. And then finally they open up the dance floor. And I'm immediately glad that I'm there. Like, that's the moment of the night where I get over the hump. The time I get to spend on the dance floor with my friends make everything else completely worth it. That is how I feel. That is how I feel about the NBA. I think that's how a lot of people feel about the NBA. We suffer through this regular season where the best players don't play and teams tank, and there's like this arrogance of like we don't really care throughout the entire thing. Okay? And there's drama. We're talking about Kevin Durant and burner accounts and all that kind of stuff, right? And then we get to the playoffs and we get over the hump of the NBA regular season. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is why I like the NBA. Oh, this is why this is the best league on the planet. The dance floor opens up, so to speak. And the DJ plays Soulja Boy. That's like the equivalent for me, because I'm telling you right now, whenever Soulja Boy comes on, boy tears it up. It's the moment of like, oh, this is why I'm at the wedding, for this moment right here. It's the same thing with the NBA playoffs. And the dance floor opened up in a big way last night. We got some awesome NBA games. The Hornets and Heat game was incredibly close the whole way, back and forth. The fun thing about playing games is you get the teams that you don't really see as often. The Lakers and the Celtics and the Knicks and the Pacers next year and the Thunder and the Spurs, the best teams in the NBA, are pretty easy to see because they're on ESPN or Amazon Prime or NBC or whatever it winds up being. Meanwhile, teams like the Hornets and the Blazers and the Suns and the Hornets, Blazers, Suns, and Heat, because they're not these premier teams that don't have premier talent, you don't see them on national TV as often, right? You got to go watch them on League Pass. And so you kind of get introduced to a lot of these new characters. And look, like a lot of people were introduced to Colby White last night, who came in off the bench and scored 14 points in that third quarter for Charlotte. Like, for a lot of people, that's the first time that they've watched LaMelo Ball play basketball from start to finish all year. A lot of people were introduced to Denny Avdia last night in his game for Portland. Again, 41 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds. Are you kidding me? Anyway, we got great games last night. They were an absolute blast. And I'm telling you, don't allow a bad NBA regular season to get in the way of these playoffs. Okay? Just like how, I don't allow wedding ceremonies and long cocktail hours to get in the way of me having a good time at weddings. Okay? It's important. All right? John Buzzard chiming in, saying something awesome. He said that he and Mara had a COVID wedding. It's via Facebook party in the garage and in the front yard of your house. That's awesome. Best wedding I've ever been to. I went to a drive-through wedding. It was awesome.
Like in Vegas?
No. In Plainfield.
Oh.
So this
Please
couple,
elaborate.
yeah, it was awesome. So this couple, they get married, and they didn't want. One of the issues with a reception is when you have a lot of people there, it's tough to like really talk to everybody. And look, like, you're not inviting strangers to your wedding. Like, the people that you're inviting to your wedding are like, they're important to you, right? And so one of the things for them is like they wanted to really be able to talk to people. And so instead of doing like a big reception, they posted hours at their house. And they're like, we're going to be home between this time and this time. Like, come through. Like, we're going to have food for you. Like, we just want to see everybody. And like, again, we're going to have food. If you bought us a gift, you can actually hand it to us and we can open it in front of you and you can like see our faces. And so instead of being at this reception for 2 hours, Amelia and I were there for 15 minutes.
That's what's up. That's pretty dope.
It was awesome. And it
That's
was
cool.
it was the perfect year for it because we had Amelia and I had a year. We went to 11 weddings.
Wow.
We had one wedding every month of the year except for one. We had our own that year as well, which was, that was the best one. And
That is the correct answer, Jonathan. That is correct.
It is the correct answer. And so for us, we were so weddinged out of just like, I'm so tired of having to go to all these weddings. And so for theirs, I was like, I love y'all so much. I'm so glad. It was on a Saturday, and I walked in, and the husband, he had college football on. I was like, this is why you did it this way, clearly. So yeah, drive-through wedding, hands down, the best wedding that I've ever been to that wasn't my own. It was really cool. So, all right, weddings, NBA, hoops, all sorts of stuff. C. Fitch saying that he loves going to weddings more now than he did at my age. I'm 26 for reference. He said, my wife and I get to dress up and I get to booze my face off on someone's dime. It's great.
That's the spirit. Good
That's
job,
a fair
C-Fish.
point. Here's the thing, though. When younger people get married, it's usually not an open bar. Open bars are expensive.
Yeah.
So maybe when people get remarried, maybe that's when I'll enjoy it a little bit more. But fair enough, fair enough. I get it. So, all right, weddings.
Both of my weddings were BYOB.
Nice. I mean, hey man, whatever. Weddings are expensive.
You know what I mean?
I mean, before Amelia and I kind of went through the process and saw how expensive everything is, I was curious. I was like, why didn't everybody have like an open bar? And I was like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
It's super expensive.
Not cheap.
Not at all. So, weddings, NBA playing games, my Chris Ballard theory, and so on. We've got Kevin Potts joining the show at 2:30. We're going to talk a little bit more about the NFL draft. That's a week away from tomorrow, which is kind of nuts. So Kevin Potts joining the show at 2:30. But when we come back here, we are going to get into our game where we are going to give away some tickets to Holiday World 317-228-1430. That is the phone number. Again, it is 317-228-1430. Call in right now for your chance to win a couple of tickets to Holiday World. Take your kid, take your spouse. Do something with them, man, because Holiday World, it is a great, great time. You want these tickets. I promise you, they are an absolute blast. You also want to go to Convivio Italian Artisan Cuisine, a place where they believe that food brings people together. They offer a well-curated wine list and a variety of menu items that are influenced by each of Italy's unique regions. And their pasta is always made fresh. Come share a meal with them at their Carmel, Zionsville, or brand new Noblesville location. Starting on Friday, log on to indiesportsticket.com at 9 a.m. to get $100. That's right, $100 in Convivio gift certificates for only $50. Again, that is 9 a.m. Friday morning at indiesportsticket.com.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you are doing so. It's 1:40, which means it is time to play a game. Do we have game show music?
It's not our game show music, but that's okay.
That's fine.
So, yeah, this is a Family Feud style in some sense. If you missed the show yesterday, we basically have a topic here. We're going to see how smart Jonathan is. Today's topic, with the NFL draft coming up next Thursday, there are 10 answers on the board. We're going to look for Jonathan to name the last 10 picks, number one picks of the last
in the NFL draft.
In any order, they just have to be on the board. And if Jonathan misses one, you call in and give me one that is on the board, and you will get tickets to Holiday.
You can go ahead and call in right now if you want to do that. It's 317-228-1430 for 2 tickets to Holiday World. In the words of C. Fitch, I can't believe that I didn't think of this. Call in, win these tickets, because I'm telling you right now, I'm not getting all 10. You can take your kids. You can take your spouse. You can be like Mike Vrabel and take your side piece. Whoever you want. Tickets to Holiday World. They're yours to win.
I would take my side piece if I had one. I mean, it's in a different area code. You're good.
It is.
Just in case. All right. So
that's funny.
But yeah, if you guys happen to think of one, and no Googling, right? So like we would like you to call in and get on the line so that way, you're not cheating.
Yeah.
Don't already look up the answers.
If you need to cheat, though, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
We're just trying to give these tickets away. 317-228-1430. I'm not going to cheat.
All right, Jonathan. Let's see what you know. 10 answers on the board.
Let me go with 3 that I know right off the rip. Cam Ward was the number 1 overall pick last year. Caleb Williams was the number 1 overall pick 2 years ago. Bryce Young was the number 1 overall pick 3 years ago.
That is correct.
That is
even the years. Yes.
That is where my knowledge ends. That is as far back as I can remember. So there's an edge rusher for the Jags who was the number 1 overall pick. I think his last name is Walker. He played at Georgia.
That is correct.
Okay.
Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon Walker. All right, so that's 4.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. How many years ago was that?
Trayvon Walker was 2022.
So I've got 2025, 2024, 2023, and 2022.
Yep.
2021. Let me think who that would have been.
Number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. Who had the pick that year? Am I allowed to ask that question? Do I get hints? This is so much tougher.
It is a form of a cat.
Okay. So let me think here. I'm gonna do this. This will help me.
You cannot phone a friend.
I'm not gonna phone a friend. I'm just gonna pull all the teams up in front of me. That way I can remember like who's had the number 1 overall pick and all those things. Again, 317-228-1430 if you want to win this game, because I am inevitably going to miss one.
He has 4 out of 10 so far the last 4 years he's got.
Yeah, let me think here. We got a call on the line. Perfect. Okay, let me think. So none of those teams have had the first pick. The Raiders haven't had the first pick. Who have the Browns taken number 1? Certainly the Browns have had. Was Myles Garrett the last time that they had the number 1 overall pick? Uh-oh. His phone's kind of jacked up. That's okay. We'll get him on here.
He's still on hold. I think he said Andrew, but anyway, who'd you come up with?
Trevor Lawrence.
There you go.
There we
go.
go.
Had some extra time there.
I did. It took me a minute. I was looking through them, and I'm trying just to remember which teams had the number 1 pick.
All right, so you've gotten 5 out of 10 so far.
Okay, so the Patriots haven't had the number 1 pick in the last decade. Neither have the Bills, the Dolphins. I don't think the Jets have. I know that they've had the number 2 overall pick a couple of times. Steelers haven't. Ravens haven't. Joe Burrow is one of them.
Joe Burrow is correct. 2020.
That's 6. The Browns. I don't know how long has Myles Garrett been in the NFL. We'll come back to that. We're gonna put a pin in that one. See if I can remember any of the other ones. I don't think the Jags have had the number 1 pick more than twice. Texans haven't. Colts haven't. Titans haven't. Broncos, I don't think have. The Chargers haven't. The Chiefs haven't. The Raiders, they've been at the top, but have they had the number 1 overall pick? I don't think they have either. I'm gonna guess this at some point anyway. So let's just go ahead and go to it. Myles Garrett, does he fall within the last 10 years?
Myles Garrett was 2017. That is correct.
Wow.
7 out of 10 so
there's
far.
only 3 more. Oh man. The Saints haven't had the number 1 overall pick. The Packers haven't. The Vikings haven't. The Lions. Have the Lions had the number 1 overall pick in the last 15 years? Jared Goff with the Rams has got to be one.
That is correct. Yeah,
all right, I got 2 more.
8 out of 10 right there.
That was 2016, so that's the furthest back.
Correct.
So we have 2016, we have 2017.
You need 2019 and 2018.
2018.
First
2018
overall picks.
This is
One
incredible.
Just celebrated a birthday yesterday.
That doesn't do anything. I don't know. I don't know when any of my friends' birthdays are, yet alone some random NFL player. Have the Giants? No. Oh man. Can you give me the team? Is that allowed?
I'll give you a team.
Okay.
Cleveland.
Cleveland again?
Yes.
Who else would they have taken number 1? I'm trying to think through quarterbacks because they've gone through so many. Not Dylan Gabriel, not Shooter Sanders, although some would have argued that he should have gone number 1 last year.
He's the one that had the birthday yesterday, and that's your last clue.
It's not Deshaun. Oh, it's Baker Mayfield.
There you go. 2018 Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall pick.
I don't want to take all 10.
All right,
let's see if the guy on the line knows the last.
We
one.
need the answer for the number 1 pick in 2019. Andrew, what is your answer, my friend?
Bro, I don't know. He stole it with Baker. I thought he was going to fail on that one, and I was going to clutch up. But
do you want to take a shot at it?
Who's
Go ahead and take a guess.
Give him the team.
Can you give me a team? Yeah.
Arizona.
Cardinals. Kyler Murray, baby.
There it is.
Say
Yeah,
again?
that is it. Yeah, you got it.
Kyler Murray is correct. Yeah, there you go.
There it is. Good job, man. Kyler. That's a good one. All right.
2 tickets.
You knew that. You knew that.
Yeah.
2 tickets for.
If I heard the team, I would have got it. You said your name's Andrew?
Yes, sir.
Dude, congratulations, man. Who are you going to take with you?
I'm going to take my fiance Morgan. We're going to Holiday World, baby.
Perfect answer.
That's right. That is a good answer.
If the side piece is unavailable, take your fiance.
Okay, hey.
Hang on the line, Andrew. We'll get some information from you, all right?
There you go. I need to take Amelia this year because Andrew, I'm assuming that you can hear me here. Whenever you're coming back up to Indy or wherever you live, if you can stop in Washington, Indiana, go to Mason's Root Beer Stand. It's so good. 10 out of 10 would recommend for you to take your fiance there if you guys do food.
Mason's Root Beer Stand. All right.
Dude, it's niche. They do like chili dogs and hamburgers, and they make their root beer there. It's so good.
This is something. Oh my God.
Yeah. There you go. All right, Andrew, hang on the line, and we will get you those tickets here in a minute, man. That was fun. This is a hit, man. This
is good.
I like stretching my brain.
You did very well. And I can vouch for you, those who aren't watching the live stream. He wasn't, looking. He couldn't see my computer either. So, yeah.
I couldn't. I'm just.
It was not scripted.
I'm hanging on for dear life over here. But, yeah, congratulations to Andrew. All right, if you want to grab his information, we can I can handle the rest here. What's a real bummer? I don't have outside of Anthony Richardson, I don't think the Colts have had even a top. Actually, no, Quentin Nelson would have been the other one. Like those are the 2 guys that have been like top 10 picks for the Colts over the last decade during Chris Ballard's time here. And I mean, ultimately, that's like that right there is the Colts' problem. Just struggling to find the some high end draftable guys, and Like, you have to have that. I mean, even for, like, the Pacers, who are probably gonna have a top 4 pick this year. Hopefully, they're gonna have a top 4 pick, 52% chance of that happening. We got the lottery, in, like, 3 weeks or so. Whoever they take, in terms of the long-term health of the Pacers, like, they're always gonna be a good team because they're gonna have Halliburton, right, kinda over that length of time. But Pascal Siakam's 33, 34, kinda somewhere around there. And ultimately, like, he's gonna be gone at some point. As much as I love Siakam, and I would think that the plan would be that whoever the Pacers take with the first, second, third, or fourth pick in this year's draft, I think the plan would be for that guy to be the next Siakam, so to speak, in terms of like the go-to bucket getter. You can kind of give the ball to late in the shot clock to give yourself a chance, to get buckets. Because Siakam's, everyone loves Halliburton for obvious reasons and for good reasons. But when it comes to Pascal Siakam, like, he is so important to this Pacers team because of his ability to score in isolation and to create for other people. And again, whoever the Pacers take with the first, second, third, or fourth pick, I do think that the plan for them is going to be to move them into that Siakam role probably, in the next 2 or 3 years or so. So, as we get closer to the NBA draft, we'll start talking about, who all they need to take and all that kind of stuff. So, again, I'm big on DeBonsa just because I like the size and the athleticism, two things that you can't really teach. Yeah, so big stuff right there. Big breakthrough for pickleball. They're going to be on ESPN, which is fascinating. I think it is, at least, as someone who likes to play. Chris, are you a pickleball guy?
I have not played ever, but I would like to.
You're missing out, man. It's a good time. It's like there's nothing like getting up early on Saturday. Which the fact that I'm even talking about getting up early on Saturday,
You
is
lost
kind of
me at
bizarre.
get up on early on Saturday.
There's nothing like getting up early on Saturday, going to the park, playing some pickle. From like 9 to 11. You work up a little bit of a sweat. Okay, you work up a little bit of a sweat, and you know, and then you go home, you shower, and then you just lounge around for the rest of the day, and you don't feel guilty about it because you've been active for 2 hours without really being active. Like 2 hours of playing pickleball is like you're moving around and stuff, but it's not the same as like playing basketball for an hour, So, but still, it's a great time. So the fact that they're going to be on ESPN, that's a big deal. Playing for $1 million, $1 million pickleball tournament. Who would have thought, man? That's insane. And it's amazing how the importance of like accessibility to sports allows for them to grow quickly. And because like for pickleball, you need a court, a ball, and a $10 paddle, and then you can play. It's a really friendly game as well. I do think that continues to be my favorite part of it, where like you can just kind of show up and people for the most part are nice and they're cordial and they allow you to work in and you meet a lot of really great people that way. So pickleball, it's also great for all ages. Buzzer chiming in saying that all 4 of his kids like playing pickleball, which isn't a surprise. Like whenever I go now, there's always at least one family out there. I played on Saturday afternoon because it was too cold and windy in the morning. There was a whole family out there. Like it looked like they were having a family reunion at the pickleball courts. And they took 3 courts. It was cool. And they had like a tournament. And they were all like screaming and yelling and rooting for each other. It was really cool.
Interesting. I'm going to have to look this up. I know Dan talked a lot about it too.
My family could never do that. Never. We'd be fighting and yelling at each other and not great. But yeah, just, checking another thing off the list, man. Pickleball, recent NFL draft picks. But now, it's time for something that we do pretty much every day here on the show, and that's talk about Chris Ballard. I've got a Chris Ballard theory that I'm going to throw your way in 4 minutes.
do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. So many ways to listen. There's really no excuse not to. Quick heads up. No show tomorrow. I got to go get a root canal. I would much rather be here. Anyone who's had a root canal, I think, knows that. So no show tomorrow, but I will be back on Friday. We'll continue to talk basketball, and we'll continue to talk NFL draft and what are the Colts going to do with the 47th pick and so on and so forth, right? Sadly, we're not talking about a first-round pick, but hey, it's fine. It's whatever. So I have a theory for Chris Ballard, and I'm going to run this. I run this theory by the one and only Kevin Potts coming up here in about 30 minutes or so. He's going to join, at 2:30 on video, and he'll be really good. He always is, and it's a blast. So here's my Chris Ballard theory that I'm going to run by Kevin. So Michael Jordan is the best basketball player ever. There are a lot of NBA players, though, that despite, looking up to him throughout the years because he's, the one and only Michael Jordan, a lot of guys, now in the league, under the age of 30, like they never really saw Michael Jordan play basketball, right? And so because of that, they all grew up watching Kevin Durant and LeBron James. And what's interesting is a lot of these younger players, even though LeBron James is, the best player of my generation, not ever, best player of my generation, a lot of these younger NBA players, they don't talk about LeBron James the same way that they talk about Kevin Durant. For example, Anthony Edwards has been very vocal about how Kevin Durant's his favorite player ever. He's not the only young player who feels that way either. And you'll hear a lot of NBA players, old and young, say that Kevin Durant is your favorite player's favorite player. There is just an incredible admiration for Kevin Durant and the way that he makes shots and can create his own shots pretty much whenever he wants. Okay, there are things that he does that NBA players find more impressive than fans do, right? And it's that ability to get a bucket when there's absolutely no reason why he should be able to get a bucket in whatever scenario he's in. That's why Kevin Durant is your favorite basketball player's favorite player. It's the same thing with radio for me. There's probably broadcasters out there that I like more than you do because I'm a broadcaster. And there's some minute detail thing that they do really well that I like and you don't care about, right? And you can find stuff like that for every profession. If you're a landscaper, you can probably drive by a lawn and be like, wow, whoever did that lawn, they did that thing, and it makes it look way better. I don't have a lawn, so I don't really know. But, whatever it is, right? And I wonder if this is part of why Chris Ballard is still employed by the Colts. Because of something like this. NFL circles are incredibly small. Only so many people in the world have held a major front office position for an NFL team. Only so many people in the world have owned an NFL team or been the lead scout for an NFL team or whatever it is. And I think there's a lot of admiration for Chris Ballard. Everyone says that he's a great guy. There's a reason why he's on the right side of the media, and it's because other people in the NFL speak highly of Chris Ballard. And I think that it comes from his ability to find good players on days 2 and 3 of the NFL draft. It's round 1 where he's really struggled and where he needs to get better. But to his credit, he's got a lot of wins on day 3. A lot of wins. Okay? And most of the time when you draft a guy on day 3, they're on your team for 2 years, bouncing back and forth between the practice squad and and the actual roster, and they're playing special teams and all that kind of stuff. That's what most of these guys do for like 2 or 3 years, and then they open their own gym where they teach people how to lift weights and they train people. That is what a lot of these day 3 guys look like. And to Chris Ballard's credit, he's found some like solid players on day 3 of the draft. Hunter Wohler last year is going to be important to the Colts and their defense this year. Tanner Bortolini's their starting center. Anthony Gould is their returner. Adetomi Adebawore is arguably their best pass rusher from the defensive tackle spot. Jalen Jones was the Colts starting corner for a year and played decently well. Kylan Granson was their third down tight end because of his ability to get open for a reason. And, the Eagles brought him over onto their roster for a reason this last year. Will Fries was a 7th-round pick who was a monster at right guard who the Colts didn't want to pay. The Vikings did. He's playing really well up there. Isaiah Rodgers, I believe, is still in the NFL. E.J. Speed was a starting caliber linebacker for a few years. Zaire Franklin led the NFL in tackles a couple times and was voted All-Pro once. And those are just some of the examples. There's more out there. And so his ability, Chris Ballard's ability, to find good players on day 3, that is something that's admired, I bet, by a lot of these other general managers and these other scouts, just like Kevin Durant's ability to make these improbable shots is admired by other NBA players. And there's a part of me that wonders again if Chris Ballard is that guy. Is Chris Ballard your favorite general manager's favorite general manager? Like Kevin Durant, he finds a lot of value where people fail to. And it leads to other people, not us here on the Real Jonathan Smith Show. It leads a lot of other people to ignore Chris Ballard's flaws. Some of them more fatal than others. Just like how Kevin Durant's ability to get a good shot whenever he wants leads to people ignoring his inability to be the face of a franchise and lead. And so because people get so enamored by Kevin Durant and his ability to make these tough shots, it leads to teams like the Nets, Suns, and Rockets gambling their franchises on him. The Nets and Suns are in significantly worse places now than they were before they added Kevin Durant. And the Rockets, we'll see where they end up when the Kevin Durant era in Houston is over. It's the same thing with Chris Ballard. The Colts are running their franchise into the ground because, going back to what Jim Irsay called him when he hired him, this is a blue chip GM. Okay? And the Colts are allowing him to run their franchise into the ground because people keep telling them how great Chris Ballard is. Okay? And sure, he's great on day 3 of the draft of finding guys who can kind of start for you. Okay? Because you go through it. His ability to find guys on day 3 is impressive. And it's a nice thing to have. The issue is he doesn't hit on guys. He doesn't hit on day 1 guys. He doesn't. Like whether Chris Ballard is drafting in the 1st round or the 7th round, you get the same guy. You get a jag, just another guy, whether he's drafting on day 1 or day 3. John Buzzer chiming in saying his ability to hit on day 3, but not day 1 is mind-blowing. It really is. Because you would think that it'd be easier to find really good players on day 1. But, like if the Colts had drafted Leatu Latu in the 5th round, as opposed to with the 15th overall pick, we'd be like, yeah, it's fine. That's a good 5th round pick, but not a good 1st round pick. It doesn't seem to matter what round he's picking in. There's always some kind of issue for him whenever he's drafting. So I don't know. Maybe that's the problem. Kevin Potts does a lot of work. He writes up a lot of player profiles. It's just he works really hard at it. So he's going to join the show here in about 20 minutes. And when he does, I'm going to run that theory by him because he knows. Again, he watches film on everybody. It's really impressive the amount of work. Why we have him on. He's the one who told you that Drake May was the best quarterback in that class with Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. And so far, he has been correct. So really, really smart guy who does a really nice job. So speaking of a nice job, the NBA play-in, I remember when they started it, No one liked the idea. It's like, like they play all 82 of these games to then like make a tournament and maybe not make the playoffs, even though they're the 7th seed. And, people were just confused by it, but it's paid off. I think it's been such a huge hit. And we saw it last night with the 2 games that were played. Okay. College basketball is getting better, but it doesn't come close to the shot making that we saw in that Hornets and Heat game last night. Multiple big threes hit late. LaMelo had a game-winning layup. It went to overtime. LaMelo fouled a three-point shooter that allowed it to go to overtime, and then he committed a bad turnover, but then he righted his wrong by hitting the game winner. It was crazy. And the game was so good, everyone forgot about LaMelo Ball pulling a Johnny Lawrence and sweeping Bam Adebayo's leg. Here's Eric Spoelstra, Heat head coach, after the game talking about that play that ultimately resulted in Bam Adebayo missing, the second half of that game.
I didn't see it, but I don't think it's cute. I don't think it's funny. I think it's a stupid play. It's a dangerous play. Obviously, our best player is out. I'm not making an excuse. The Hornets played great, and they made those plays down the stretch. We had our opportunities to win. That's a shame. He should be penalized for that. I don't think that belongs in the game. Tripping guys, shenanigans, and Curtis was there. It's his responsibility to see that. And if it's not his responsibility, then Zach's got to see it. If somebody has got to see that, and that he should have been thrown out of the game. For that. I don't know him from, anyone. There's no place in the game for that. Obviously, it took Bam out of the game.
Eric Spoelstra, Heat head coach, right there, talking about the missed call there on LaMelo Ball, who again just leg swiped Bam Adebayo. Haas was calling for Spoelstra to be fired after the game. I think that's a bit much, but hey. It's all right. But that play had a pretty large impact, and the Hornets undoubtedly caught a break there from the referees, had a pretty decent impact on the outcome of the game. Like, the Heat are obviously better when Bam Adebayo gets to play. And, some people have asked if LaMelo is going to get suspended for the next game. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it should happen, but that game probably goes a little bit differently if Bam Adebayo doesn't leave in the middle of it. But this is part of the drama of one-and-done games. It's part of why this has worked so well, the play-in. Because, when you get these 9-10 matchups, everybody's all in. Everybody understands and knows what's at stake. And, yeah, last night's game was just a lot of fun. I don't want that one play to kind of take away from how great the game was. But Brandon Miller hit multiple big shots. Tyler Hero hit a couple big shots. LaMelo was so good inside the three-point line. He reminds me a lot of Tyrese Halliburton in terms of how I would like to see Halliburton go to the rim more, because his float game is so good and his pull-up jumper from 16 feet is really good, and he finishes at the rim really well. And anytime LaMelo got inside the three-point line, I felt like the Hornets got a nice shot. They didn't make them. They didn't shoot it great from three, but I wish he would attack the rim more, because he just makes passing look so easy. And his ability to just kind of go by whoever is really impressive. Davion Mitchell for Miami was impressive as well. He played 48 minutes last night, which is impressive. He was really good. Colby White's pop in the third quarter, where he scores 14 points, goes 4-4 from three, was awesome. Hearing the crowd go nuts throughout the game was beautiful. It was really an elite product, minus everything that Amazon Prime did. The technical difficulties where you missed the first minute of the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. And, the fact that, Chris, did you notice that the sound was ahead?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
I noticed that.
Iron Eagles it's good, and the balls hadn't even touched the net yet. Yeah, and so that bothered me a little bit. The graphics team messed up, showed that the Heat had one timeout left when they didn't during overtime. Aside from all those things, though, great product, a blast of a game. Suns and Blazers was really good as well. I thought that the right teams won last night. I get it. The Hornets took 56 threes, and people don't like that, and the Heat took 41. But, as three-point shooting has become a larger and larger part of basketball at both the NBA and college level, the other thing at the NBA level that has become a major focal point is that no one really mentions is offensive rebounding. This has become something that NBA teams really care about. I think it's part of why the Pacers traded for Zubac, because he can kind of help them do that. Because, I don't think that you need analytics nerds to tell you this, but if I have more possessions than you do, then my team's probably going to win. It's just kind of how it is. And the Hornets had 17 offensive rebounds last night to the Miami Heat's 12. That's 5 extra possessions. And that ultimately ended up being the difference in the game, because the Heat shot the ball better than Charlotte did, both overall and from three. But because the Hornets had those extra possessions that they earned through offensive rebounding, they were able to overcome the poor shooting night. So great game one last night. We've got a couple more great games tonight that we're going to get into. I'm also going to touch on Blazers and Suns here in about 3 minutes or so. Convivio Italian Artisan Cuisine believes food brings people together. They offer a well-curated wine list and a variety of menu items that are influenced by each of Italy's unique regions, and their pasta is always made fresh. Come share a meal with them at their Carmel, Zionsville, or brand new Noblesville location starting Friday. Log on to indiesportsticket.com at 9 a.m. to get $100. That's right, $100 in Convivio gift certificates for only $50. That is Friday morning, 9 a.m. Log on to indiesportsticket.com to get that sweet deal.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to The Real Jonathan Smith Show. Kevin Potts joining here in about 10 minutes. Did you get his email? Cool. He's going to join the show here in about 10 minutes. He'll be great as we talk NFL draft and all that great stuff. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X__Jonathan Smith if you want to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can get wherever you download your apps. And, of course, 1430 a.m. as well. So many ways to listen. There's really no excuse not to. And I was telling Chris during the break, I felt old this morning when I woke up.
Tell him why. Tell everybody what you just told me off the air.
So whenever there's like a big sporting event, NBA playoff games, NFL games on Sunday, whatever it is, I make a conscious effort to do something with my wife before all the things start because I know my attention is going to be on that. And so she says, I'd like to play like a video game together or something, but she wanted to play like a new game. I was like, all right, like that's fine. So we're like scrolling through like the Nintendo store because she wanted to play it on our Nintendo Switch. We wind up settling on Nintendo Switch Sports. So basically, Wii Sports just on the Switch. And so we played volleyball, badminton, tennis, and basketball for like an hour and a half. Mainly volleyball. My right shoulder, so incredibly sore. Because you're just like up and then you're down over and over and over and over again.
So you're telling me that you ran 10 miles, on Sunday?
Yeah.
And you're, I'm just a little sore. And then you play Wii Sports and you have a pulled shoulder muscle?
I was sore on Monday. I sat down the entire show on Monday. I didn't stand up. I stood very little. Usually I do the show standing. But, oh, my gosh.
Next time you play Wii Sports, you got to stretch first.
Seriously. I feel like I need to stretch right now. I mean, pretty incredible stuff, honestly. I don't know. I think it's funny. I mean, I'm not old, but John Buzzer said that you have a good point.
So I'm
about the 10 miles.
I'm like 18 years older than you. And whenever you start getting pulled muscles just from getting out of bed in the morning, then you can start talking to me.
You know what the worst thing I've pulled? Have you ever pulled your quad?
I'm sure I have. Yeah.
I pulled my quad when I was in college. It was the first time so there comes a point in your life where you realize you have to stretch before you do things.
Yes.
And that point in your life comes after you pull a muscle for the first time. So I'm like 21 and my buddies are like, hey, we're going to go like run routes. Do you want to come with us? I'm like, absolutely. That sounds like a lot of fun. And so I go to just, to run a go route and I get off the line and I took like 4 steps and just pulled my quad and just stopped. And I was like, guys, I can play quarterback. That's really about it. When's the first time you pulled a muscle?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't.
When's the last time you pulled a muscle?
Probably last week. I mean, I deliver some groceries on the side as a side gig or whatever. And I'm pretty sure my calf was sore today, but this is an everyday thing whenever you get into your 40s. So get used to it, man. This is just a preview of what I go through on a weekly without running 10 miles.
You have a calf strain? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Dude, be careful. Those calf strains, they will mess you up if you're not careful about it.
Do your show, Jonathan. Leave me alone.
Oh, this is the show. I'm just saying, hey, Kevin Durant calf strain, he tore his Achilles.
Touche.
Tyrese Halliburton calf strain, tore his Achilles. Just saying.
You're right.
Be careful. Hopefully we don't have anything like that happen this year. Because that was just such a it was such a buzzkill last year. Like as soon as Halliburton had the calf strain, I think everyone from that point forward kind of knew what the risks were. And then obviously he plays the one game and Pacers blow out the Thunder. Game wasn't close, right? And then, from there, I mean, it was just when he tears it in game 7, just absolutely brutal. Is that Buzzard? Buzzard, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good. I've never torn a rotator cuff playing Wii or whatever you did with volleyball, but I have an indicator for you, and I'll be brief with this. So the indicator of getting old is when all you do is you stand up and you make like old man groans, is what my wife calls it. Okay. So if you have to make noises in order to stand up off of the couch, then you're old.
Okay, that's good to know. I mean, I'm not at that point yet. I'm still pretty spry whenever I'm popping up off the couch. So okay, that's what if I ran 10 miles the day before? Does that count?
That's fine.
Okay, just
that's
making
fine.
sure.
Don't encourage him.
If there's a reason, but I'm talking zero reason. All you do is stand up, and you have to make a groan just to stand up.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks for the call, Buzzard.
All right.
See ya. Shout out to C. Fitch. According to Trey Wingo, sources indicate Liv is preparing to wind down operations. Man, that's interesting. I'm trying to read through this. It looks like they're shutting down Liv, maybe, if I'm understanding this correctly. Yeah, that is exactly what they're saying. So Liv is no longer going to be a thing, which is interesting because the league was fully funded through 2030. I'm kind of interested to see, do these guys that sign these big bills, that sign these big contracts, like, are they still going to get paid out? How's all that going to work? I'm really intrigued by that, but it's not really surprising, and it's really disappointing, honestly, because when Liv started, the PGA Tour was not in a good place. I mean, there were a lot of questions about it. There were a lot of complaints about it, just in terms of, like the purses weren't as big as they needed to be, and the presentation of it wasn't as good as it needed to be. And since Liv showed up, all those things have improved for the PGA. So ultimately, Liv was a good thing because it improved the product of the PGA Tour, but they missed a real opportunity. Play 72 holes, don't blast music, play normal golf, and I think that they actually would have had a chance to stay in business. But they didn't do that, and so they're out of it. And with that being said, hopefully Chris Ballard is out of it here pretty soon. We are now joined by the one and only Kevin Potts. What's up, Kevin? How are you, man?
I'm good. It's exciting to be in video format for the first time since we've been doing this.
I like your background. It's a little dreary. It's a lot of gray, but I mean, that's better than the last guy we had on. The last guy we had on, to quote my producer, Chris, it looked like he was coming to us from like the floor of his bathroom. It was just black and white. It was bad.
Well, I do live in Seattle, so gray is kind of the adopted color up here, so it seems only fitting.
Oh, hey, that's a great point. Joined by Kevin Potts, writer of the Kevin Potts NFL and NFL Draft Breakdown Substack. You can follow him on X at KPottsNFL. And Kevin, I wanted to have you on because I have two theories that I want to throw at you. Okay, so let's start with this one. It seems who's the top guy on your big board this year?
It's going to be Mendoza.
Where's Jeremiah Love at for that?
He would be right behind him at number 2.
Okay. This is I would call it consensus. Seems like he's top 3 on every big board that I've looked at. And there's a lot of speculation on where he's going to go because he plays running back. I've seen him as high as 4th to the Titans. I've seen him as low as 9th to Kansas City. And I went through this the other day. I made a rough list. I wouldn't call it exact, of like the 10 best wide receivers in the NFL. And just ask myself a simple question. When would I rather have Bijan Robinson, who I would say is the best running back in football, over one of these receivers? Where's that at for you? Like at what point would you rather have a running back than a wide receiver?
I think you're probably getting 8 to 10 receivers. Usually my cutoff for this thing, both with running backs and tight ends, is kind of around where Drake London probably lands. where I think this is a number one caliber receiver who can do pretty much everything, line up inside, outside. He's a willing blocker. There's just really he's not amazing, but there's no real holes in his game. After you get past that, I think you start getting into like the Higgins and the Devonta Smiths, the Chris Olaves, where I think those guys are more high-end number twos. I think that's probably where I draw the line, because at that point, now I am having to make some concessions for that receiver to fit an offense around him. And then at that point, I'm going to take a running back who I don't have to make concessions for and can do anything.
That's interesting. I had the number cut off way lower. I was like, I think that there's 6 receivers I'd rather have before I took Bijan. And that number may be low. It may be more like 7 or 8. But ultimately, this is probably dumb on my part, and this is why I want to have you on, because you're smarter than I am when it comes to this kind of stuff. Cornell Tate, I just wasn't overly impressed with. He kind of seems like the top receiver in this draft class. I think Jeremiah Love should be the first skill guy taken, because I think Jeremiah Love's a guy who at some point in the NFL is probably going to be the best back in the league. Whereas with Cornell Tate, I don't know if he ever breaks being a top 10 receiver. So how do you kind of measure all of the skill guys in this draft, and who do you think should go first?
I agree with that take. I really like Cornell Tate. He is my number one wide receiver, but I do think he is far more likely to fall in that Chris Olave, Devontae Smith bucket that I mentioned. Smith is my comp for Tate. I think they're very similar type of players. And when you talk about Love, he is projected to be that Bijan, McCaffrey, Gibbs type of playmaker. I think if we were operating in a draft class like a couple years ago that had Marv and Nate, Dunze, this is a different conversation. Then I think you're looking at those receivers and saying, I'm taking those guys. I think they're alpha number one type of prospects. I think this is a type of player who's going to change my offense. While I do like the big trio of Lemon, Tyson, and Tate in this class, I don't think they're that close. There's a pretty big gap between Love and my top wide receiver. So then when you get to that point, which is why I think you see Love mock to teams like the Titans at 4, even though they definitely do need a receiver, because people are saying the gap is so big between these prospects. Even if positional value might ding them a little bit, it's not enough to close that gap.
Joined by Kevin Potts, writer of the Kevin Potts NFL and NFL Draft Breakdown Substack. You can follow him on X at KPottsNFL. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it too. And how much has the resurgence of the running back over the past few years really changed that? Like, I know you're a 49ers fan. Like, Christian McCaffrey's been the best player on that offense for like the last 5 years, and that offense is always good. Saquon Barkley was the best offensive player on a Super Bowl winning team. Jonathan Taylor was an MVP candidate until Daniel Jones got hurt, which that alone there probably ruins the argument. But how was the resurgence of the running back, you think, impacted the way that teams kind of look at Love and some of the other running backs in this class?
I think it proves that if you get one of the truly elite ones, they are difference makers. If you're going to get one of those top guys you mentioned, even maybe if the MVP conversation gets messy because of quarterback and offensive line, all those guys you listed are still game-breaking players that obviously change their offense and how they function. And to get one of those players, you have to spend a first-round pick. Outside of Taylor, who's a second-round pick, most of these guys were first-round picks, if not top 10 picks, to go get these type of players. I think once you get past that tier and you're talking about all the rest of the running backs, then you get back to the running backs don't matter thing. I think you can pinch some pennies, kind of like with the Seahawks with Kenneth Walker, where they are okay letting him walk and they're just going to field a room of just guys, because Walker is not one of those elite type of players. But if you are searching for one of those guys, you're going to probably have to draft them highly, and they usually do make an impact. If you go back and look at these first players, like you mentioned, Bijan, Gibbs, McCaffrey, the hit rate is pretty high on all these guys. I know Gentry didn't have a great rookie year. I'm pretty willing to chalk that up to the Raidersness of it all, and I think he long-term will be fine. But it's a pretty high floor pick when you take these backs. You can talk about like the value and the contract and all that stuff down the line. That's perfectly valid. But I think you're probably going to hit this pick. He's going to be a good player on that rookie contract. And those guys do make a difference if you hit on one of the top 5 to 6 guys.
I completely agree. Are there any other running backs in this draft class? Jeremiah Love, clearly the best. Who are some of the other ones that you like? Maybe guys that go later for depth. Who are some of the running backs in this class that you like?
Yeah, it's a pretty big drop off after Love. I'm only going to have one other back, I believe, in my top 75. That's Jonah Coleman from Washington. And I really like him, but I think he is still you're probably going to have to put him in a rotation with a guy with more juice because he's smart, tough. He's great in pass protection. I think he's a Kyron Williams type of back who is a good player and got paid good money, but that's not the type of back that we're talking about here. The other consensus number 2 is Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame, Love's teammate, which it seems like they're going to be the first pair of teammates drafted at the position top 2, which is just really cool. I'm a little lower on him because there's a lot of projection that comes with this game. As a byproduct of playing with Jeremiah Love, you don't get as big of a role. You don't get the third down stuff because Love is such a special player. You're obviously going to use him there. Some people really like him and they've bought into him a lot because the tools to be a good backer there. It's a little bit much of a projection. And then after that, you're getting into guys like Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska, Mike Washington out of Arkansas. But I think all of those guys are late day 2, early day 3 type of grades. And it's really a weak class after Love compared to especially like what we had last year where I had 6 or 7 backs in my top 100.
Okay, that makes sense. I have a listener submitted question here. My guy Ross wants to know if you have an opinion on the Sonics potentially coming back to Seattle.
I am very excited for it. I am from California, so I am a diehard Warriors fan. But as someone who's now lived up here for close to 9 years now, this city deserves that team. I've seen what Mariners games are like. I've seen what Seahawks games are like. When they got the Kraken here a couple years ago, getting tickets to those games were impossible. And this is a basketball city going all the way down to like the high school level. It's very ingrained in the culture here. So just as a neutral fan and someone who just enjoys living in the city, I can't express how much it's going to be awesome if they get that team.
Okay, joined by Kevin Potts, writer of the Kevin Potts NFL and NFL Draft Breakdown Substack. You can follow him on X as well at KPottsNFL. So I let my Chris Ballard theory out today, and this works out perfectly because the guy that I compared him to started his career in Seattle with the Sonics. So if you talk to like NBA players, there's this idea that like your favorite NBA player, his favorite NBA, because he can just do things that we mortals don't understand, right? And so NBA players are like, like look at the shot making and all these things. I wonder if there's a similar thing with Chris Ballard, and it's why he's kept his job for so long. Look, in the first round, it's been brutal, but I wonder if your favorite GM is like, man, Chris Ballard's ability on day 3 to find starters in like the fourth the 4th through 7th rounds is really impressive. Have you noticed that? What do you kind of think of Ballard on day 3? Because he needs to be good this year because they don't have a first pick again.
I think that's an interesting take, and I do kind of like it because there is the difficulty factor of we are just drawn and attracted to things that seem difficult. And I think in that vein, you go, well, he can do the hard stuff. Theoretically, those first-round picks are going to balance it out. Or in this case, you can trade those first-round picks for premium players because you know you can backfill with those day 3 picks. And I do think there is obviously merit to it, and it is something that is awesome to have. But there's only so much you can do that for. And if you look at teams that have been successful like that previously, both the Ravens and the Niners are 2 teams that come to mind that have also been very successful in drafting day 3. They have started to hit at a high clip than they previously did. And they're still trading away or missing on their first round picks. And then you start to see that roster attrition. And I think then you get those teams that are stars and scrubs. So I do think it's nice. And I do think it can get you through some couple of years and some aggressive moves and extend a timeline out for a team, which Ballard has done, right? He's been here for a very long time and been able to extend because he has found, especially at the offensive line, they've done a fantastic job of finding starters later in the draft. I think that's really impressive. But to take that next step, which I'd imagine most Colts fans are eagerly looking for, you need premium players. And you have to start hitting on more A-plus picks. And so you can't just build a team out of Bs. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck in as a wild card team forever.
Or a 8-9, 9-8 team forever, like the Colts have been for the last 5 years or so. Speaking of A-plus players and premium picks, Jordan Schultz had a report yesterday about how there are a lot of teams looking to trade out of the top 10, looking to trade down The Cowboys seem like a good option in terms of a team looking to trade up. Who else do you think might be intrigued by what's at the top of this draft class?
I think it's those teams that have extra picks. You mentioned Dallas. I think the Jets would be one of those teams. I think you look at a team like the Chiefs. Do they want, even if it's just a couple spots up from 9, to secure a guy like Bain or the top receiver that they want? The Texans have a lot of picks. The Bears have a pick because of that DJ Moore trade in the second round. So I think those teams, especially those teams like the Jets and the Cowboys that have that second first round pick that's later, if you can package both of those to get in the top 10 and get a second round or a third round pick back as part of that, I think because of the way this draft is structured, we talked about this last time I was on, the difference between pick 20 and pick 45 feels really small this year, especially compared to previous years. If you were a team like Dallas with pick 20 or the Jets with pick 15 and go, hey, we don't really think there's that much difference between the guy we're going to get there and the guy we're going to get at, say you trade with the Browns and you get 6 and 39. Like if you don't feel there's much of a difference between 20 and 39, go up to 6, go get Sonny Styles, go get Ruben Bain, whoever it may be, because you're probably not losing that much value. So I think those teams that have multiple picks to package in the first round because of the way this draft is structured are the to watch.
Okay. That's interesting. Joined by Kevin Potts, writer of the Kevin Potts NFL and NFL Draft Breakdown Substack. You can follow him on X at KPottsNFL. All right, Kevin, to close this out here, I'm going to issue you a challenge that was given to me earlier during the show. We played a game. And basically, I just want to know, of the last 10 number 1 overall picks, how many of them can you name?
Okay. I don't know if I'm able to go in order. So Myles Garrett.
I didn't. So you're good.
So it's Myles Garrett.
Okay.
Baker.
Yep.
Burrow.
Yep.
Caleb.
Yep.
Bryce.
Yep.
Those are the ones I got right off rip.
You know last year's.
I do. What Trayvon Walker. One of them, not last year's. I don't know why that came out. Trayvon Walker.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else? I'm trying to think of.
It's really tough. And then you're like, oh yeah, of course.
It's one of those ones where, especially doing the draft stuff, where you flush your last year's thing so fast that it that you forget it. Obviously, Ward. I just realized I never said it. I said it in my head, but I never said it out loud.
You need 3 more.
I need 3 more. I got all. I'm trying to think how I got all the quarterbacks.
You're missing one quarterback.
Missing one quarterback.
At least, right, Chris? I think Chris is keeping track for us.
I think he still needs 3. He said 3. Burrow, right?
Yeah,
I said Burrow. Who was the QB in the Lance, Fields, Wilson, Mac Jones, Lawrence?
Lawrence.
Okay.
I forgot about Lawrence.
Yeah. These because no one talks about him in that class. They talk about all the other ones that flamed out.
Yeah.
They're not like we just don't talk about him.
One just got released and signed by a new team.
Kyler.
That's the one I missed.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got there if you didn't say that. He seems older in my head because he's just been in the public mind for so long.
I know, playing Call of Duty, doing all those things.
Yeah, he's just having fun. So it's got to be what, defensive end that I'm missing?
Is that right, Chris, or is it one more quarterback?
Did he say? I think there's still 2 quarterbacks. Those are the last 2.
He's got 9. He needs one more.
So another quarterback then.
So
for the last 10 years,
there is one more quarterback. I'm trying to think.
Ward,
now.
Caleb, Bryce.
Yep.
Lawrence, Baker, Burrow.
You said Kyler as well.
I said Kyler.
Yeah, one more quarterback. 2016.
Oh, who was 2016? So it's right before Garrett. I don't know. Oh, Goff.
There it is. There it is.
Another player. Him and Kyler in my head have been. I guess it is a decade now.
Yeah.
Which ages me way more than I like to admit. But I was like, in my head, those dudes are not. I know, but those dudes in my head are not like no current number one picks, right? Those guys have just been NFL veterans. Their draft stock no longer matters as they are on like second teams after big contracts. That's a fun exercise though.
It was we do stuff like that whenever we're giving away tickets to stuff. So yesterday we did like teams with the longest NBA playoff droughts, and today we did draft picks. So we try to keep it fun over here, you know.
I like it, of course. Yeah, you gotta have a little fun with it. Absolutely.
That's right. That's right, Kevin. Thank you so much for your time. How many player profiles do you have? Do you have left to do?
Let's see. We got about like 10 guys left. I got to get to some receivers and safeties over the weekend, and then put together the big board, the mock draft, and get all that nice, neat little bow on it before Thursday.
Before Thursday. All right, Kevin. Thanks so much for your time, man.
Yeah, of course. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. See you, buddy. That is Kevin Potts. You can go follow him on X at KPotts NFL. He does a great job covering the NFL. You can read his stuff over at the Kevin Potts NFL and NFL Draft Breakdowns Substack. If you don't know what a Substack is, you need to learn what one is, because there's a lot of really good writers over there who do a really good job covering stuff. So speaking of doing a really good job, Convivio Italian Artisan Cuisine believes food should bring people together. They offer a well-curated wine list and a variety of menu items that are influenced by each of Italy's unique regions. And their pasta is always made fresh. Come share a meal with them at their Carmel, Zionsville, or brand new Noblesville location starting Friday. Log on to indiesportsticket.com at 9 a.m. to get $100 in Convivio gift certificates for only $50. Again, that sweet deal is available at indiesportsticket.com at 9 a.m. on Friday.
fits in today's sports world. It's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM. So many ways to listen. Really no excuse not to. Chris is just a nice guy, because I didn't even think to do this, but there's apparently some big traffic thing, and Chris wants to give you a heads up.
Yeah, I would want somebody to do this for me. But if you happen to be out driving on 465, do your best to avoid 465 on the north side around Carmel. It is shut down in both directions for at least 3 more hours due to a cut gas line. So do not go north on 465, or just find another way. We're up around the Shadeland area, and we are looking at 465 out the window, and it's slow on our side. So I know it's
always
slow
slow
up
on
there.
our side.
But there you
It's
go.
always slow
Do with that what you will.
Matt Bear, watch out. Chris is coming for your job.
For my trusty helicopter.
Matt Bear is one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, man. I got to work with him over when I was working for IBC, and he's just the best, man. Just so nice. Yeah, love Matt Bear. Anyway, I forgot what I was going to talk about.
He's way more professional than me.
I don't know,
For
man.
sure.
He's funny. I love that guy. But I also love the NBA play-in tournaments. We got more games tonight. Watch them. They're not going to disappoint, especially the first one. Like Magic and Sixers, it's going to be a fist fight for 2 hours and 15 minutes. The Magic are so physical. There's so many good players in this game. There's so much on the line for both of these teams. Like when it comes to the Magic, Jamal Mosley is trying to keep his job. They have been so disappointing this year, and so he's trying to keep his job. Paulo Banchero or Franz Wagner could be on the trade block if they don't make the playoffs this year. So there's a lot to be played for in this Orlando versus 76ers game. For the Sixers, like they're in the middle of making some tough decisions. Is it time to trade Joel Embiid? What do they do with Paul George, who's playing really well right now? When do they move off those guys and start building around VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey? Decisions need to be made in that regard. And games like this, like they weigh heavily on those kinds of things. The Warriors and the Clippers tonight. You get Steph Curry in a winner-go-home game. I mean, what more do you need? Oh, by the way, Kawhi Leonard, one of the 10 best players on the planet, is lined up across from him. So, again, what more do you need? These games are going to be awesome tonight. I'm taking Orlando to cover the 1.5 point spread, and I'm taking the Clippers to cover the 5.5 points that they are favored by. We're 1-1 so far on these NBA play-in bets out of 6. So hopefully we can go 2-0 tonight, guarantee ourselves, at least going 500, and see how the games turn out on Friday and Saturday. Just so you know, there is no show tomorrow. I have to go get a root canal because I'm just the luckiest guy in the world. So no show tomorrow. I will be back on Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all the support that we've gotten so far since, the show has started up. Chris, thank you so much. Another great job today.
My pleasure, buddy.
Yeah, shout out to Kevin, Buzzard, Andrew, and Ross, all the guys who called in or were guests on the show. We'll be back again on Friday. Zach Gray, he'll be on with me at 1, and hopefully we're going to get Jared Dubin on as well. So Friday's show, it's going to be locked and loaded. You're not going to want to miss it. I will talk to you starting on Friday. See you.